Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again it is Sunday, and that means it's time for the Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week. A weekly vlog that I put out where I ask you as my viewers and subscribers about something that deals with guns, gun culture, current events, politics, news, or maybe something fun like EDC that I want to get your thoughts and opinions on. This week's question deals with, well, what was really big in the news about a week ago, and that has to do with Elon Musk purchasing Twitter and the potential of a social media platform no longer censoring conservative or what is considered right-wing or conservative content like it used to be. And of course, firearms falls into that realm. So I was curious if you guys think this is going to be a positive turn of events, especially when it comes to firearms and firearms-related content, especially on platforms here like YouTube. So with that said, let's dive right into this week's poll question. This week's question deals more with social media than firearms, although the two are connected. With the news that Elon Musk has bought Twitter and promised to end censorship and promote free speech, I am hopeful this will translate into a more open platform in the world of firearms. I know companies like YouTube throttle, shadow ban, and hide pro-Second Amendment content. Do you think that with more openness, fairness, and non-political moderation on Twitter, that we will see other companies follow suit and there will be a resurgence of much more pro-2A and firearms content on these platforms? Now, in full disclosure, I will tell you, I am not on Twitter, either as the Texas Gun Vault or Jason in the capacity of just myself. I have never even used Twitter. It has never appealed to me, that type of platform, and then of course what Twitter turned into. So I don't really know what happens on Twitter when it comes to Second Amendment content. I don't know the real issues with having to share pro-2A content or 2A videos over there. But I have heard that there is an issue with censorship, throttling, and simply banning. In fact, that was one of the problems with some of these companies. They banned themselves into oblivion. So a company like Twitter, or maybe YouTube, when they constantly censor and ban people, you're essentially trying to get rid of half the country. Well, half the country will spend money on the advertisements that they see. But because you continually ban and perpetually ban them, well, eventually your platform becomes an echo chamber, but then you have so many people banned, you can't grow that platform anymore. And I think Twitter was facing that conundrum. So what were they going to do? And so when Elon Musk offered them a fair amount for their company, well, they had to take him up on it. So is this going to be a good thing or a bad thing? Well, let's find out what you guys have to say with this week's results. With a very measly and meager 573 votes this week, about half of what I usually get, I guess people were not interested in this week's content, we have, yes, it will be a renaissance for content and content creators, 9%. Yes, but the overall effect will be minuscule, 17%. Neutral, social media companies will still manipulate content, 56%. No, if Twitter is free, other platforms will clamp down harder, 14%. And something else, explain in the comments, 3%. And this week's results actually did kind of surprise me. I know that there's a lot of people that are really excited about the possibility that Elon Musk will turn things around. And of course, if Twitter begins to succeed because of his managerial style or his policies, well, you know what matters more than red or blue? And in that case, I'm talking about the political parties here in the United States. Well, that color is green. People care about money more than anything else, or so I used to think. As we saw when it came to Twitter, they really didn't care about money. Their social justice warrior fanaticism was more important than money. They were fine losing value in the company, losing value for their stockholders, well, as long as they're pushing that political agenda. So maybe I was always off base thinking that money will always win in the end. But let's go through each one of these and I'll tell you my thoughts on it. Yes, it will be a renaissance for content and content creators. Well, I really think that if you voted for this, you're thinking about a single platform, because I actually do think Twitter is going to see a renaissance. It's going to be more open. Now, some people will say that is bad and some people say that is good, but when we interact in society, well, when you go to the grocery store, you're surrounded by liberals, you're surrounded by conservatives, you're surrounded by libertarians, and probably even socialists and communists, old people and young people, people of every race and background, ethnicity, gender, well, if that's a whole nother debate that we can go into, or religion. And so we have to interact in society all the time, and we don't really seem to have any problems. So why is it only when it comes to one platform is there an issue? I think there's going to be a big brouhaha when it all changes, but in general, everything's just going to kind of go back to the way it was. Liberals will have to hear conservatives, and conservatives will have to hear liberals. They'll actually have to defend their ideas in a public square. So as I said, I totally understand why some people think this could be a renaissance, especially on Twitter. Then we have yes, but the overall effect will be minuscule. This got 17%, and it was the second highest voted on option. And so I think a lot of people will look at someone like Elon Musk, who is traditionally on the left. You guys know he posted that meme on Twitter where he doesn't really move, but he shows that the left especially has gone really far to the left. So I still think that what Elon Musk believes and thinks, while today might be considered right-wing or centrist, well, 15 years ago, which really wasn't all that long ago, he was probably pretty left-leaning, you know? So I don't really think his positions have changed. It just means that the ends of the spectrum, especially on the left, have gone so far left that he's now considered right, but probably someone from a centrist or maybe a conservative standpoint would look at him and go, well, he's still pretty darn liberal. So maybe the changes won't be that much, you won't get banned, and conservative content will be able to be seen on Twitter again, but the effect will be minimum and other companies are not going to follow suit. Then we have the vast majority of people who said neutral, social media companies will still manipulate content. Now, I almost would have voted for this one. And by the way, I never vote or comment in these polls because I never want to skew the results. But I understand why a majority of people thought this was the way it's going to be. Because even with Elon Musk at the helm of Twitter, people are probably going to think that, oh yeah, not much is really going to change. They're going to have to moderate content to some degree. After all, I think people would agree that even on an open platform, well, you can't have threats of violence. You can't have criminality and all of its different shapes and forms come on the platform. You can't have people on there selling drugs or firearms illegally under the guise of free speech. There has to be some type of moderation. So, is it going to change? I definitely think it does, and I understand there's a lot of people that are pessimists because of it, because they have been beat down for so long, and they think it can't happen. But you know what? I'm going to give Elon Musk a try here, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to give him a chance, because look at all the things that he has done with all of the other companies he has ever interacted with. You have PayPal and SpaceX and Tesla, and these are humongous successful companies. Love him or hate him, you have to admit that what Elon Musk does is think outside the box, do things people said were impossible to do, and turn these companies into powerful juggernauts. So while Twitter might have a lot of influence in certain political circles, when it comes to its financial stability, currently, before he bought it, it really wasn't that big of a company, that powerful of a company. In fact, for a long time, they were actually losing money. So I actually think Elon Musk has a huge potential and a huge chance of turning it around. And maybe if these other social media companies see what happens to Twitter, they're going to be like, well, I really would like to make billions of dollars too. Maybe we should follow that model. Who knows? Maybe that's what the future is going to hold, but I understand why so many people are kind of pessimistic about this. Then we have no, if Twitter is free, other platforms will clamp down harder. Now this is actually the one I would have voted for, but I want to put a little caveat in there, and that's only because I think that it's going to be in the short term. Once Twitter becomes truly fair, free, and honest, you're going to see other platforms have to be the alternative. What do they say? The brighter the light, the darker the darkness. And I think that's the way it's going to be. So if Twitter becomes truly open, fair, and free, you're going to see other platforms, and maybe unfortunately platforms like YouTube become worse, because they're like, we have to counteract Twitter. We're going to be the exact opposite. We're going to clamp down. But just like companies like Disney that went woke, well, now they're paying the price. You have both political entities like the state of Florida going after them, and you have a huge boycott movement. So good, they virtue signaled. They're social justice warriors. But will the Walt Disney Company actually be around in its current form in 20 years? Maybe not. I like to still think that in the end, people are loyal to the company and want the companies to succeed and, of course, make money. If the companies are going under, well, the CEOs can't get paid millions and millions and millions of dollars. So at some point, the boards of directors, the stockholders, the CEOs, CFOs, COOs, they're all going to be like, listen, we want a virtue signal, but we got to make money. So why don't we just keep our mouths shut? Why don't we advertise to the entire country? Allow liberals to speak their mind. Allow conservatives to speak their mind. Allow libertarians to speak their mind. And let them do all the talking. Let's stay out of it. Just give them a safe platform to do it. Protect their free speech. And let's just rake in the money. I like to think that in the end, human nature is going to win. And I think that is human nature. But in the short term, as I said, I would have voted for this one because I think the other platforms are going to clamp down to try to do the opposite of Twitter just because they have to. I think some will fail because of it. And who knows, some I think will come around in the end when they lose so much money and they go, we can't keep doing this. And then finally we have something else explained in the comments. And for the most part, when I was reading through all the comments this week, anybody that I think would have voted for this, it was kind of like in between. People that said, I have hope for Elon, but I still think it's going to fail, or they're still going to ban people, or whatever. It was kind of a mix between the two, or just have a more nuanced argument than the 5 options that YouTube allows me to have. So that's my thoughts on all this. But let's see what you guys have to say with this week's top-rated comments. And with this week's top-rated comment, we have Graybeard, who says, it amazes me that the guy who wants to put a chip in your brain is the hero du jour for buying a media company. Don't buy the noise. Watch what actually occurs. Now, I'll be very honest with you, I really haven't studied the history of Elon Musk all that much. And does he really want to put chips in your brain? I don't know. Maybe he said that he does. But I guarantee you, if you went back 50 years and there was somebody who said that, hey, you're going to carry around a little tiny pocket computer. It's going to be your life. It's going to have all of your financial information, all of your contacts. It's going to have everything about you in the world. People will be like, I'm not doing that. This person is evil. Because we all like to think that the world is set the way it is now. I think it was Rush Limbaugh that says our perspective of history starts when we are born. We completely forget the past. And so, as I said, using cell phones as an example, 50 years ago, people would have thought they were crazy. It's dystopian. Whoever wants to hand out cell phones to everybody is the Antichrist, because to them, the world was working perfectly the way it was. I have no idea if Elon Musk really wants to put chips in people's brains. I don't think I really want one, but who knows? Maybe 150 years from now, that's the going thing. That's the fad. That's what everyone's going to be doing. It's the natural course of events. And from our perspective, it's scary. It's dystopian. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to be reality, or in the end, what happens and what's actually good. It's only from our perspective. But I can't comment on it because I haven't heard this comment that I guess Elon Musk made about computer chips in your brain. But as always, I do agree that we all have to be careful and watch what he does. Follow people's actions, not their words. Because for all we know, he's going to do a lot of bad. He's going to censor, but we're just going to have to see. To be honest with you, I don't think it can be any worse than what it really is right now. The next comment we have comes from Keith Tate, who says, I believe that depends on the reaction. If Twitter takes off and hits new highs while the other companies start to sputter, then we may see some good change. And I kind of alluded to that when I was talking about each of those options. In the end, what's going to matter is money. And if Twitter becomes so big and they make so much money and they draw the audience from other platforms, well, those other platforms are going to want to exist. They can't virtue signal forever and just go into obscurity. Well, I guess they could, and there could be some bad business people, just don't invest in those companies. But there's going to be other companies that are going to want to turn around and go, we got to get our hands on some of this money, and they're going to adopt that new policy or position. And I sure hope that they do, especially companies like Alphabet, Google, and YouTube. Then we have Joe Morgan, who says, I think social media will continue to play in their litter box their way until they get in trouble or they go broke. And maybe that's the inevitability of it all. They will go broke. What's the saying? Go woke, go broke. It's not a hard and fast rule. There are some companies that have gone woke and have done just fine. Then there are other companies like Dick's Sporting Goods that banned certain types of firearms, and they have lost millions and millions and millions of dollars. And that CEO refuses to budge on that position. I know I will never buy another product from Dick's Sporting Goods ever in my life. They lost a customer for life. I will not buy ammunition from them. I will not even go in their stores to buy even something that is non-firearms related. So they lost my business, and I know a lot of other people that feel the same way. Look what's going on right now with Disney. Well, they made their bed and they got to lay in it. So if you go woke, you go broke. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it is a trend. Then we have Pawpaw Stew, who says the real change will occur when larger content creators leave these platforms and move to other platforms that host content. Now, I will say I've been trying to do this myself. Every video that is uploaded here on the Texas Gun Vault on YouTube also gets uploaded to Rumble. It's an automatic thing, and I am really trying to promote my Rumble channel. I have all of my videos saved, and on days when a video is not premiered here, I try to upload one of my older videos over there to create an audience base. I can tell you that the only way that's ever going to happen is when YouTube clamps down in a big way on conservative media. Let's just say they ban Second Amendment content across the board. Well, people are still going to crave that content. They're just going to find it on other sites. And I actually think to this day, Rumble is still going to be the true alternative to YouTube. They already have cloud services now. They used to be based in Canada. Now they've moved to Florida, which gave them a huge tax advantage. And they're no longer under Canadian law, which deals with the lack of free speech. They are now free to do what they want. I think Rumble is going to be the conservative alternative to YouTube. And I really shouldn't say conservative. I think it's just going to be the free speech alternative to YouTube. And I think that's only going to happen when the content creators not only move, but because the platforms force the content creators to move. For example, if they shut down Hickok 45's channel, or Mr. Guns and Gears, or the biggest channels on YouTube because it's evil firearms, well, those guys are still going to want to make money, and so they're really going to start promoting Rumble. Right now, YouTube is just the place to be. I'm doing my best trying to promote Rumble and my channel over there and put positive Second Amendment content on that platform, but I'm just small potatoes. But if YouTube ever banned me in my channel, I still have all my videos, and I'm going to be active over there. Once the big content creators get banned here on YouTube, well, they're going to move to other platforms like Rumble as well because they're going to want to make money. And I don't think going to the boutique platforms like Full 30 is the way to go because I don't even watch Full 30. To me, it's just like, well, I want to go to a platform where I can get my politics, my firearms, my science, and my informational videos all in one place. And unfortunately, Full 30 or just gun-related streaming services don't offer that. Rumble offers it all. So I actually highly recommend that even though you might not go over there and watch Rumble every single day, go over there, download the app, give it a chance. You might find yourself finding content over there that you like that you might not get here on YouTube. You might get versions of videos that you can't get here on YouTube because the content creators aren't censored. And then finally, we have Justin, who says, Renaissance to minuscule leaves too large a gap. I believe it'll be something in between those two. And I kind of agree. It's not going to be a complete Wild West like YouTube used to be about 10 or 15 years ago. There's going to have some moderation, but it's also not going to be the land of censorship that it is today. The one thing too that I think a lot of people forget is that our attention spans are really, really short. And a lot of this stuff moves at a snail's speed. So while I don't think anything big is going to change in the next month or maybe year, I think potentially in the next decade, we could see a lot of change. And I think in general though, the change is going to be positive, or at least moving in the positive direction. And if it does, who knows, maybe Elon Musk will go down in history as somebody that saves the republic, because he will be the release valve for all the people that like conservative media, that feel like they are being banned and censored. Well, now they're going to be able to produce the content that they want to produce. They're going to be able to watch the content that they want to watch, and it's just going to kind of alleviate that pressure. We're never all going to get along, but at least people are going to feel like they're being heard and not censored. Because honestly, I think that the country was on a very bad trajectory up until this point. If you tell 50% of your neighbors in the country that they don't have a right to speak out, that their views are so evil and horrible, and when they try to respond, you ban them and say you have no ability for public discourse, well, that brews resentment. And resentment turns into hate, and hate leads into suffering, as Yoda says, right? That's where it was all going to go. And that trajectory, I don't think looked good for our country, because who knows, maybe one day it could foment a civil war, and we know we don't want that. So there you go. Elon Musk, is he a savior, a saint, or is he just another wide-eyed billionaire that wants to turn the world into his vision? Well, I guess we're just going to see, because we're all along for this ride together. So that's the Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week. If you want to participate in next week's poll, please go to the community tab of my YouTube channel. I will also post a link in the description, and go click that, go see what next week's poll is about, vote, comment, and like other people's comments so we can get the top rated comments of the week. So I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say about my thoughts on this topic. So as always, thanks for watching.